And good morning. Cheers to everyone. It is Monday. Cheers to everyone. Thank you, Rob. Hey, it's our proud
There was something in that.
Mine
I just
actually
forgot to
has
fill it up.
liquid.
Okay.
But it's ready to go.
But it's Monday, is the
Yeah.
thing. I'm on coffee number 2. I made blonde roast today.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I just feel like
Starbucks.
sometimes that, it's you just need a good blonde to help wake you up, because I did hear it has more caffeine in it, which is
it
really
does.
cool.
Oh, great.
I didn't know that for a
A
long
wire
time.
now.
Yeah, isn't
But
that a weird? You would think
like,
the
oh, blonde,
dark
lighter.
roast, yeah, like darker, more caffeine,
Yeah.
but I guess it's the opposite.
Did not know that.
Opposite.
Always
All right.
learning.
Always learning about coffee. Did I mention it's 8:15, by the way? Yeah, it's really early, but we've already had our full show from 5 to 7. If you joined us, thank you. A ton of people were joining us on Facebook Live, which was neat. Read some of your comments on air. Today, here on Extra Shot, we're going to go in on a couple of stories. The first one being Bay Area job loss. There's
Right.
you came across this article. You found it super interesting, so go ahead and talk to us about the details.
Thank you
we
for
all
that
think
setup.
we all think it's interesting, but I love when you get
interesting.
passionate. Don't
Okay,
you?
so as we all know, California is one of the biggest economies in the world.
Yes.
That
Sixth
always
largest
yeah,
in the
exactly.
world.
That always surprises people, I think. And one of the hot sectors is tech, which is basically the Bay Area. And so you're thinking, okay, well, it's hot. You get your Netflix, Apple. Not Amazon, that's in Seattle, but you get the point. There's so many tech companies that are based in the Bay Area that how in the world could you have a net job loss in such a hot area of the economy?
Right.
It just doesn't make sense
Right.
on its face. But over the last couple of months, they've been hit by thousands of job losses, and in fact, this is the biggest reduction in Bay Area jobs since February 2010. And when you go back to that, you think, okay, well, that was right after the Great Recession. So that makes sense. So what is going on here? And this is an article in the San Jose Mercury News, which is an amazing publication. And they've got so many good reporters. But anyway, they are connecting it to the price of housing, just the cost of living, and everything going on in the Bay Area. So you have this thing where for some people, this is a great economy and everything's working out, high-paying jobs, businesses that are exploding in a good way. And then on the other side, if you're not in that sector, you've got jobs like teachers, firefighters, the service industry. There's all these jobs where it's just not, it doesn't pay what it costs to live there. And at some point, you just bail out. And Michelle, you brought up something really interesting. In our world, the TV world, we rank the TV markets, and something really crazy happened with the Bay Area market.
Okay, so let's just put this into perspective. So Sacramento, Stockton, Modesto, we're all kind of one TV market.
Correct.
We were ranked as number 20, so that's really great TV market-wise. There's 210 markets across the country, so we're one of the bigger ones. Now, when you talk about the top 10 of TV markets, San Francisco just last year was number 6. Okay, for the new TV households for the upcoming year, they're going to be dropping to number 8, and that's a big deal.
To number 8.
To number 8.
Oh wow, going down 2 ranks.
Right.
So you have to understand that all of these markets in the DMA, it's based on the DMA, right? It's based on the number of people in the given area.
Yeah,
So
number of TV households.
Number of TV households. So this story, when we heard that last week, when we heard that last week, and then we talk about your story this week, we're seeing, okay, is this all one big story, right? So you see the job losses, the number of people then are going to have to go somewhere, whether it be a different part of California or a different state or a different part of our country. And then we're seeing, because of that, right? Because there are less people, now the rankings are starting to go up in number, which means down in popularity, right? Just down in population, I guess. Which is interesting.
I feel like there's been a tipping point. It's too hot for its own good, and it's overheating. And now we're seeing sort of the bad side of it, which is it's just too expensive.
Well, you have to also think about it like Austin used to be a very small, different type of town, and now it's becoming a tech industry as well. And so a lot of these Bay Area companies are moving to Texas, where they can get more land and have more room for a lot of these people to afford to live in a less expensive area. So a lot of these Bay Area companies are probably moving somewhere, either to Sacramento or somewhere else, just to grow their empire.
But then, okay, so then we talked about last week, Amazon headquarters, right? The second headquarters in the country. There's a bid going on right now. Who is going to get the second headquarters?
It's a big deal.
It's a really big deal, because with that, thousands of new jobs opportunities are going to come. It's another chance for a tech the tech industry to expand in some region of our country. And I had a conversation over the weekend. I was on my way to a wedding, and I was in a car with my husband Caesar, who's in the financial world, and some of our friends, and they're in the tech industry. And so they're like, when I mentioned Sacramento being on the list of people who submitted a bid, they're like, that's not going to happen. But then you talk to someone like Rob, who's like, excuse
these are Southern
me.
California
These
friends.
are SoCal kids.
Hey,
Yes.
I grew up in Southern California. It's snobbery about Sacramento.
About
it's not,
NorCal.
Yeah, exactly. There's just there's an information. They just don't get it.
They're like, there's no intrigue for people in the the tech world to even want to consider living in the greater NorCal region. And I'm like, well, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And you read something over the weekend that even expanded your argument that, hey, we could be we are the underdog here.
Exactly.
But we could come out of nowhere and be like, hey.
I genuinely think that Sacramento region has a chance to get this. Now, the big popular thing to write about these days for all these newspapers is be careful what you ask for, and they're talking about all the downsides with traffic and other things. But you know what? If Amazon came here, it would fundamentally change, for better or worse, how this region operates, and there's a lot of pluses going for it. We've got the highways. We're close to a major airport. They wanted that. They wanted a base population of right around 1 million people. If you add up the surrounding area, we definitely get there. I think it could absolutely be a thing that happens here. There's a lot of land north of Sacramento is wide open.
I would love for Amazon to have their second headquarters here. However, I don't think it's going to happen. Here's why. They already have it based in Seattle. They probably need a presence in the Midwest or even on the East Coast for a second headquarters. And of course, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that it's going to happen. But again, it's two West Coast headquarters. I don't think it's going to happen. It's too close.
And that was one of the arguments from one of the SoCal kids was that why would they do that, especially if some sort of natural disaster were to happen here on the West Coast? It affects both headquarters versus just one, and then you could fully operate in a different part of the country.
Yeah.
Okay, so check this out. This article last week, one of the people they're trying to figure out the odds of this happening.
Yeah.
As we understand it, of course you would want a presence in the Midwest, and when you look at the submitted proposals, there's a ton on the East Coast, and there's a ton of favorites that people are really rooting for. Places like Detroit,
Michigan. Their bid video was sort of emotional. I was like, oh, I want to go there.
I mean, you talk about it would change our region here, but not as drastically as it could change a Detroit or St. Louis or some of these towns, places in Ohio. I mean, there's a lot of emotional intrigue about that happening.
Sure.
But with this person, they just went straight, just data, and they figured out that one of the key things as a transition, they're based in Seattle, as they're sort of rolling this thing out, there's going to be a lot of executives and mid-tier type management people that they are going to have to be commuting back and forth between the new headquarters, and you don't want a giant flight, and you don't want a huge move for a family and all these other things. And so that kind of shrinks the geographical location a little bit to about an hour and a half flight is a doable thing on a weekly basis, and that puts Sacramento in there. And they use the example of Intel. When Intel wanted to expand, they were based in the Bay Area. They were looking at all these places, and they were thinking East Coast as well. Eventually, they came down to Chandler, Arizona, because that's right next to Phoenix, and that was a much easier commute to try and they could get land. It was cheaper. They had a big population. There's all these kind of things that they were looking for in expansion, and it just made it an easier. At the end of the day, we all want our lives to be easy, right?
Yeah.
Can you imagine? And the other thing, people talk about Toronto. Well, yeah, obviously Toronto would be a great location. And now you're going through customs to go to work.
To do that,
So I mean, in Edmonton and Calgary and some of these other like hot spots in Canada, they're like, oh, we would be perfect. And in some ways, yes, but
absolutely.
Again,
but
as you're trying to bridge this convenience and just workability factor, Sacramento has a lot pulling for it, and I think it's a dark horse.
Okay, brings up the question again, what does Amazon want, right? Do they want to be part of a community like Austin that's already boomed and that is so popular and a lot of tech people want to be there? A lot of people in general just have this intrigue about Austin, or do they want to be part of a community that they can help build up and really make it boom? So it's a question that we'll see answered in 2018.
Yeah, they're a business. All they want is the best option that will save them money. So if they have more land options somewhere else, they're going to go somewhere else, especially if it's much cheaper than
Someone brought up the
California.
idea of Vegas.
That would be actually pretty cool.
Nevada, no state tax.
Yeah.
You're in
I think
entertainment capital of the world.
I think there's not enough population there. I mean, this
Right,
is
it's just the valley.
I mean, California. I mean, California's got a real shot here, and it's. I'm thinking it might be Sacramento.
I think we're
maybe
taking
I'm
bets right
crazy.
now. It sounds like.
I am perched and ready for this to happen.
Think about the university system here. So
Yeah.
every year you've got tens of thousands of well-educated, motivated students. A lot of them are
jobs.
interested in the tech sector as engineers or what have you. I mean, there's a lot of home field advantage, I would just say.
Okay.
What are the comments saying? Because maybe this is, I think this
Maybe
stuff
this
is
is just
interesting,
us?
but sometimes I talk about things that no one really cares about. For example, when I
Keila
get home
says-
today talking about my day, kids are not as interested.
They don't care. They want to know when you're
Keila,
taking them out.
She has weighed in. She says we need more jobs, and that goes to your point. We need more jobs because we want to help and grow our economy as well. And it's one of those things where, you know, we won't know until it happens, and
Yeah.
we're all so hopeful, and we really want it to happen in our area.
Well, how about Joseph Barnett's comment? He says Sacramento has a diverse population. It has an educated population, about 100,000 community college students, a state college. UC Davis would help with employees. The airport, trains, and roads going north, south, east, and west. The 2-hour ride to Great Skiing to the east and the Bay Area to the west with faster trains in our future. It is the place to grow.
So here's one of the things too.
Nice, thank you for that.
They need to recruit people. Okay, you don't just all of a sudden 50,000 well-educated people ready to go. They don't just show up. They're going to have to come from somewhere.
And for a reason,
The
besides
Bay
the
Area
job.
is right there, so there's going to be a massive recruitment effort. I mean,
And given that people can't afford to live in the Bay Area,
Exactly.
which is our first story,
I mean,
let's go inland.
That's an easy pitch. They start making phone calls and they say, "Hey, do you want to make the same money but actually get way ahead and work for this growing, booming business?" I mean, it's a big recruitment call, and it's not that out of the ordinary. Let's just say that they've got a young family, and they would have to make the move, say, from San Jose, where a house is $1 million,
Right.
or you can get a super nice house in the
Right.
Sacramento area for half that, and you have all this extra income, and then you're closer to Tahoe.
You can do more things.
Yeah, exactly. So they start. I mean, a lot of these decisions, if for recruitment, are based. It's dollars and cents, but then it comes down to, well,
Lifestyle.
at the end of the day, when they have this discussion, I'm thinking about changing jobs. Well, where are you thinking about moving? Toronto? Or
Right.
Sacramento.
Okay, not that much of a lifestyle
Sacramento's
change.
kind of nice. I'm hearing a lot of good things about
Yeah.
Sacramento. So it makes it an easier recruitment tool.
And a city on the rise, downtown specifically, which is
Mm-hmm.
our next story. It kind of all loops into one thing. So downtown Sacramento partnerships suggest that the Golden One Center is boosting spending. So they have the numbers to prove it. 32 new construction projects now surround the Golden One Center. This is just in the past year. 26 new businesses were created downtown during the last year, and 23 new stores planned to be open very soon.
Isn't that
So
crazy
you already
how
see
quickly it's grown?
Yes.
Yeah.
Just in 1 year.
Just in 1 year. So I'm excited about these changes already coming here. So it's this bid to get the second headquarters. We're already in motion saying, okay, we are ready. This is what's happened in 1 year because of the Golden One Center. This is what the Downtown SAC Partnership is suggesting. How much more can we grow even outside of the downtown area? Because as we know, speaking of demographic, right, our DMA, we expand beyond just Sacramento, of course.
Yes.
Thank you for all of you who are tuning in from Modesto and Stockton and in the greater NorCal region. So it's all right there.
Yeah, and this is just, it's just easy to point to Sacramento because you have the visual examples there, but this is happening region-wide. Okay, so I've got kids. I don't get out much. We all know that. We joke about it. So, anyway.
Dad life.
So my wife and I were, she's a photographer. I was helping her out.
Yeah.
And so they wanted a photo shoot of all the places they wanted to get their wedding photos done. They wanted to do it at Golden One. And I said, okay, that's interesting. I hadn't been
Interesting.
down there in a while just because I've been busy. And so we went down there. So I went out down there with fresh eyes for the first time in years. And it's exactly, you live in the area. But for me, I was like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
There's so many new places about to open up.
It's so vibrant.
Yeah, it is just, you just feel it. And I'm like, okay, things are happening. People are excited. Starbucks chose one of their, their
Reserve
One
bars.
of the reserve bars, which
They
is
wanna be there.
beautiful, by the way, just opened.
Yeah,
Yes.
the Lady Gaga mural. Just before you were here, when I first moved here, it was this mall, which was fine that it was there.
It was
but,
outdated.
You go there, and I would say, okay, where's the men's stuff? Oh, that's at the other thing. It was just a weird layout and stuff. And there still is a Macy's down there, by the way.
Macy's has survived.
Exactly, but it's just it's a different thing. It's functional in so many ways. Let's say you hate sports. I don't care about the Kings, whatever. Hey, do you like concerts? Do you like music? Well, you got that happening now. I mean, it's pretty fascinating how quickly this came together.
And you take a place like Los Angeles, right? When they put in the Staples Center. Remember that was like the first thing they had put in downtown. It was like, oh, this place needs to be revitalized. Skid Row is down the street.
Yeah, that place was terrible before, and now it's the hotspot.
You should see what's happening. So I used to work downtown, went to USC, so I went to school there. I was an assistant to a news anchor. So I was her PA, and she lives in a place downtown. Beautiful spot. Her patio, the very top of this one building, next to the AT&T Center, looked over Staples Center and looks all over Los Angeles. And I thought, wow, what a pad and what a gold mine she is sitting on, right? Well, fast forward about 7 years, now she just sent me a picture. This whole new, it's going to be a live, work, play, but very chic. I mean, goes way beyond the height of her building. And she's like, this is going to be my view now. And it's a building. And I mean, they're talking about all this expansion downtown, just the number of people who are there, the amount of traffic, yes, is already a headache. Now it's even more so. But it is a thriving place where now people are saying, hey, I want to live in downtown again. That was never a thing. When I was growing up, people were like, downtown, ooh.
Yeah, my buddy started a winery, and when he first started at it, he's like, wow, this is a really undervalued place, downtown LA. So as he was coming together with the thing, within a couple years, it was already too late. So he ended up setting up shop in Santa Barbara. But the whole point of it is that these things happen very, very quickly. And you got to get in on the ground floor.
Build it and they will come, that great saying.
Exactly.
Like, we'll
and I'm noticing some comments here really quickly. There's some people saying no Amazon in Sacramento because, you know, if you're not related to this, what's really the benefit to you? If you grew up here and you've got your home and you've got your job and everything is fine, then all of a sudden you throw in a bunch of new people on the roads and on the schools and everything else, because you can't scale highways as fast as you can scale some of these businesses coming in. So if Amazon comes in, or if we continue, maybe it's not Amazon, maybe it's some other business. People are coming to Sacramento.
We're expanding without Amazon right now.
Exactly. There's going to be a lot of headaches as well. There just are.
Ruth Pinkham says our state will end up in another recession if they come here. Kim Miller says stay there. We folks up here don't like crowds. Kimberly Morgan, people are choosing to pay their mortgage versus pay for cable. It's so expensive, I think she's saying, to live there. And BB Ruiz, that's all over California. Lots of people are moving out of this state. It just costs too much to live here. So they're saying this is beyond the Bay Area. This is just in general, the state of California. And Andre Roos has a good point. All cities will become the same in California if Amazon comes here and we become this more thriving city than we already are. We're just talking about Sacramento specifically. A point there too.
Right. Is it too much? I mean,
is it not for NorCal?
I feel like for the Bay Area, they're getting to the point where it's probably too much. It's too much traffic. It's too expensive. There's not a whole lot of opportunities, especially if you're in some other industry than tech. So they probably hit the tipping point, and maybe things like this it ends up being a bad thing. That's what a lot of people are writing about.
It doesn't have to be just Sacramento. It could be anywhere in the valley. We're talking about Stockton. We're talking about Modesto. Stockton has more land, so does Modesto. So those cities could actually grow, and it's a beautiful waterfront in downtown Stockton. They have the port there, so that definitely helps, especially for transport and everything like that.
Tracy too.
Tracy Triangle. So a lot of these people who live in that area are already commuting to the Bay Area. So if we can get that headquartered here in Sacramento, more people would actually come into Sacramento and help grow all three of those economies or any of the surrounding areas. So that's the hope. We definitely want Sacramento.
That's just us. Keep sounding off. I mean, keep sounding off and tell us where you think it should go. If it were to come down to California, where should it go specifically? Talking about Amazon second headquarters. One last comment on this topic. Kimberly Morgan says that her husband works right by the Golden One Center. When he goes on his walks, he's been telling me, talking about her, of all the new businesses. He is excited by it. So there's a local saying they're excited about it. We'll see what happens.
All right.
And again, Amazon will announce where they're going to go for their second headquarters next year, which we're already end of October now. Can't believe that. Halloween.
When are they going to make the announcement?
It just says in 2018, so it could be the beginning, middle, or end. Not sure. Stay tuned. Amazon taking over the world, by the way.